EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. J-Mac, how you doing on this Thursday morning, brother? Just a couple of shows left this week, and then we are into the week where camp begins for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles.
Yeah, feeling good. Well, I guess the somber note, Brian Braymond passed away, unfortunately, former
very sad, John.
Eagles, Super Bowl champion, came back at the end of the 2017 season. So glad that he
run, right?
Yeah. I believe he blocked a punt in the
blocked a
game.
punt.
Yeah. Great special teams player. I remember talking about that was the era. Like, Chip doesn't get a lot of credit for some of the things he brought to Philadelphia that are still going on. I always say that. I don't think Chip's a great coach, Chip Kelly, but I do think he takes so much of what he brought in, the league as a whole adopted. So I think he had a bigger impact than people realize. But that's the sports science stuff and things like that. Tempo, but he had no filter, yada, yada, yada. But to Brian Braymond's point, that was the era that brought Dave Phipp in. He's a great special teams coordinator. Still is with Detroit. And man, they had the reputation of having like the best special teams group in the NFL. And it was an era where they every year they would have 2 or 3 players that they would just sign for special teams, or just say, this guy's not necessarily going to help you somewhere else, which is rare because everybody wants that. Well, you got to be able to play a position or this or that. And they sort of ignore special teams, and they just get the special teams and say, well, we'll just use this guy. And, it's an art to be good at special teams. So the 2 players I would always point to were Chris Maragos, who's one of the best special teams player I've ever seen, and Brian Braymond. And the Eagles were, for that span, almost always a top 5 special teams group, which Chip deserves a lot of credit. Phipp deserves even more credit. And the mentality of, we're going to get players who are just good at special teams. And that was Brian Braymond as a football player. But so sad to not even reach 40. And as you mentioned before we started, he's got daughters, and life's not fair, man.
No, it's really not, John. 11-year-old daughter and an 8-year-old daughter, man. That's all I think about when something like that. Obviously, you think about the family, the wife, everything. He lost his life, but those 2 girls now growing up without a dad, man, that's tough. It's a tough break, John.
Yeah, it really is. But so wanted to say something about Brian Braymond. One of those underrated guys. A lot of people don't pay attention to special teams, but first thing I think about that era is Phipp, and when it comes to the third base, it's Phipp, Maragos, Braymond. That to me encapsulated how good the Eagles were on special teams, and the fact he was able to come back and make that play in the playoffs and do that in the first Super Bowl in Eagles history. That's a feather in his cap as well.
Yeah, no doubt about it. So rest in peace to Brian Braymond. I'll be praying for his family, his daughters, and everybody close to him. He had a rare, aggressive form of cancer, is how it was worded. He was 38 years old, and his agent confirmed that he passed away. So rest in peace to Brian Braymond. John, let's move on. I do want to get into a little bit more of an upbeat note. Obviously want to give our respect to Brian, but let's turn the page here. The other side of it is two very stark sides to the coin to start the show this morning, John. Obviously how sad it is with Brian Braymond. And then you go over to the ESPYs last night. The Eagles win best team. It's a hilarious event all throughout. Shane Gillis is chirping everybody. Nobody is safe.
Eagles fan, by the way. Shane Gillis, Eagles fan.
Yeah, it was pretty funny. I saw the monologue he did about the best team, and he was well, they could be the best team, but they're not this. They're not this. So it was pretty funny. But your thoughts on the ESPYs, Johnny Mac? You had some thoughts pre-show. I want to give you the chance.
Yeah, well,
lay it out.
I think it's funny. Again, you saw all the disrespect people. There's not too much disrespect for your favorite team, Alex, and describe Hollywood. And look, I could care less about the ESPYs, and it's sort of like the Hollywoodization of professional sports, and that's what ESPN is trying to do with it. But like make it the Grammys or whatever. But best team, best play, Saquon, obviously the reverse hurdle, which is kind of easy. Like I mentioned, I can't even tell you. Shane Gillis, I mean, the host of the show is a big Eagles. This disrespect nonsense is just completely off base. And I did see Nick Sirianni was out there cracking up at Gillis's Bill Belichick jokes, which was kind of funny about, who he's dating. Let's just say that. You can watch it if you want. But, yeah, it's a good time. And obviously the Eagles were well respected. The best team, not only in the NFL, but across professional sports. The ESPY award-winning Philadelphia Eagles.
There you go. I think you've changed some minds, John, on the disrespect of the Eagles, at least for an at-large perspective. I think the fan bases are still, because, John, people
I think they're
Twitter,
so used to thinking it, they can't get off it. It's just
I think there's an element too of like the Twitterization of the world where they go on and they converse with other fans and they fight and debate with other fans, and other fans, love shitting on the Eagles. But I think you're right at large. The Eagles aren't as disrespected as we probably think here in Philly. I don't know if you've changed any minds in the chat, but you've shifted me a little bit on it, Johnny. Man.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's just not true. It's funny, because it is Hollywood. Just over the past couple of days, like out of the blue, hat tip to Nick, he'll know who he is, but basically a Hollywood agent reached out to me because he listens to Birds 365 and he's an Eagles fan. So, connecting, get to connect with somebody that's pretty high profile in that industry. And I always tell the Phoenix story. The Phoenix story is amazing to me when I'm traveling. Just how many Eagles fans were out there. My Uber drive, you're sitting on a corner in Glendale.
Right.
Well, whatever that is, 2,000
order an Uber on an app.
Yeah. How many miles away from Philadelphia, and an Eagles fan picked up. Oh, I know who you are. And that was coming off the game where one of the Cardinals employees, which I cannot, render his name because he'll get in trouble, just chat me up in the press box. And I'm like, wow, this guy's really friendly. And he's an Eagles fan. And he takes me off in the corner, and I'm like, this is weird. And he raises up his slacks he was wearing to show me his socks. He's got Cardinal stuff on, and he's got Eagles socks on underneath.
That's pretty funny.
It was. It's hilarious. That's your power of your Philadelphia Eagles. But
there you go, man.
Very, very. So I don't see a ton of disrespect as other people seem to see. And that's why I am the way I am. I see the exact opposite. This team is high profile. Everybody wants to be around them. Celebrities. Pete Davidson is stopping in. Big Dom knows everybody. It's absurd.
You got Ivanka Trump, remember? She's stopping in. Everybody wants to stop in at the Birds this summer.
Ivanka wants to stop in to chat up Eli Ricks because he said she's attractive, which she is. Shane Gillis was talking about that last night as well.
Oh, was he? I got to watch it. Sounds like Shane Gillis hit on just about everything.
Yeah. To me, it's one of the dumbest narratives, but I think it's so ingrained in the identity of the franchise from the losing. People haven't noticed that page got turned a while ago.
Any other thoughts on the ESPYs worth sharing, Johnny Mac?
No, that's about it. That's about all of the ESPYs. And
I didn't watch it at all.
I would have. I
didn't
didn't watch 10 seconds of it. Well, I knew I'd watch
You
Gillis.
just saw the clips, right, on social, I would assume.
Yeah, I think Shane is funny. And I knew I'd
I think
watch.
he's funny too. I wondered how his type of humor would sit with that crowd.
It does. With that crowd, it's not going over well. But he's a funny dude. He's and by the way, recommendation, TV recommendation. He's got a show Tires on Netflix. Very good, and a lot of local tint to it because he's local. He's not from Philly, but he's from like, I don't know, suburban Harrisburg, somewhere near there. But he's local and he's an Eagles fan, and there's a lot of local stuff down to the Delco accents. Very funny show. Very, very funny show.
Prince says Shane won't be hosting again. LOL.
Yeah. Well, he might. They had Norm Macdonald. He did Norm Macdonald's famous O.J. Simpson joke because he likes Norm, as everyone in comedy does, as sort of a tribute. Rest in peace to Norm as well. But I understand. I mean, that's why you hire guys like Shane Gillis to crack on people. It's sort of like a roast mentality in that monologue. But
yeah.
The funniest part was, I will say, I'll give a shout out to his funniest joke to me. A lot of funny jokes, but the funniest to me, because it exposed the nonsense of the people in the audience, was he was shouting out to various athletes, and he said, shout out to 4-time WNBA All-Star Brittany Hicks, and everybody clapped, and they showed Brittany Hicks in the audience, and Shane just said that yeah, I'm joking, that's my friend's wife. And everybody bit
on that. I did see that one on social media this morning. That's pretty funny. That's pretty. I guess he had to get approval from his wife and his friend and his friend's wife for that one, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, that's funny.
It was tremendous. But anyway, your Philadelphia Eagles are the team of the year. Saquon won play of the year. I don't know if they won anything else, but somebody in the chat can tell me. But anyway, not that it matters, but there you go. Right next to the you can put it right next to the Lombardi Trophy, the ESPY.
We got a couple super chats on the ESPYs. Let's get to them. Prince says, nah, J-Mac isn't an Eagles fan. He would know we fight about everything and anything. Go Birds, F the haters. It's an Eagles thing. We fight, J-Mac. Yes, you guys.
Yeah, I know. I said it's an identity thing, and so many can't figure out that the page is turned. That's all I'm saying. I don't care what you do. You can fight with fans. I don't care. But I'm going to call it out when people they're disrespected. No, they're not. It's the exact opposite. It's the exact opposite. You're one of the haves. You're one of the 1%ers. You ain't gritty Philadelphia anymore. You're the rich guy on the top of the hill.
Yeah, it's true.
That's true. That's the kind of respect they get. Sorry to break your just bubble.
Yeah, we're the elite class nowadays.
Yeah. You are the elite class.
Trust Prince me. Again. He says, J-Mac has a joke where he says he can tell a person's race by their car in that show.
Yeah. Great joke.
I'm not sure what's he referring to there.
Tires, the show I was talking about on Netflix. It's about it's about a lube place, about like a Chippy Lube type place.
Right.
And there's a great scene where they can guess the race of the person by the car
based on what they're driving. Yeah. That's pretty funny. Good stuff, Prince there. A couple more super chats I think we got early. Thank you all for being here this morning. By the way, thank you all for the super chats. We got plenty of stuff to talk about as we're now getting close to training camp. Just knocking out some of the things that happened in the sports world last night. Here's JD. I think this is JD3 with the new user. Yeah, you can tell by his Harrison Bryant jersey as his as his picture. He
That
says,
that is weird, man, JD. That is weird. But go
it's
on.
hilarious. I find it to be very fun. If you're going to troll, I mean, you commit to the troll, John. You make the picture in it. And
I think he likes him though. I think it's more than trolling. But maybe I'm
I
wrong.
do too. But maybe there's
Maybe
a
I'm
little
wrong.
bit of, maybe we boosted it up a little bit. He says Jalen Carter needs a tailor. Y'all see them big ass pants he was wearing? My boy too damn big to have McHammer pants. I didn't see him.
Yeah, I didn't see it. I didn't. All I saw was clips, and I don't know who was there, so you guys can inform me on
Was
that.
Jalen Carter on the stage when they accepted the award?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, he was. I'm looking at the photos now. I do see the big ass pants. Those are some,
yeah, he's a big
those are
dude,
some big
man.
pants.
It's a big dude, so it's tougher for big dudes to get tailored, to look like Devontae Smith, who dresses like, he's straight out of New York Fashion Week. It's tougher for the big guys.
That's true. We got a couple of those players on Philly who dress, really dress to the nines, if you will.
Oh, Devontae, man. Devontae wins that by a million miles. And there are a lot of well-dressed guys, but they ain't touching Devontae.
No, Devontae does have the dapper look. Look, here's a picture of them at the ESPYs. Let me pull down the thing. So you can see, yeah, Carter's got some long pants. Who's that there? Josh Sweat?
Josh Sweat, Jordan. Yeah, Jordan should be there. Yeah.
And then Sirianni. And then I would assume that's probably Sirianni's wife, I'm guessing there and then Mailata. There you go. Good picture. Good picture of the birds represented to the national crowd at the ESPY. So good stuff there. Thank you for the super chat, JD3. And then one more chat here. Let's get into some Eagles talk here as we have training camp coming up right around the corner. All right, what are we, 5 days out from the Eagles reporting, 6 days out from them hitting the practice field, 49 days away, I believe, now from the home opener versus the Dallas Cowboys. So, and kick on off the NFL season. Wilfredo checks in. He says, if Cam and Landon get injured, I don't know how I feel about the backups. They couldn't even play for an injured 40% Cam in the playoffs. Well,
they won the Super Bowl, dude. What do you mean they couldn't play? They persevered, which is, most teams, when they lose players like Cam Jurgens, Landon Dickerson on the offensive line, fall apart. We were talking about that with Tyler Steen yesterday with BLG. He didn't play great, but they persevered. When Jordan was hurt earlier in the season, Fred Johnson didn't play great, certainly not like Jordan, but they persevered. Most teams fall apart. You lose players like that. And if anything, this year they're better equipped. Because they got deeper and better on the offensive line. Something we don't talk about. I've said it a couple times, but I haven't seen it much because nobody worries about it, and they shouldn't worry about it because they have by far the deepest offensive line in the NFL. I got 14 guys who should be NFL players. 14 of them. 14.
That's a lot of offensive linemen, man.
And they brought in Drew Kendall, who I think is going to be a really good player. So they're better at backup center. We'll see with Miles Hinton and Cameron Williams. They have to develop and all, but they're certainly worthy draft picks, and the Eagles are very high on Miles Hinton, very high on Miles Hinton. So, yeah, I don't see that at all. But anytime you have multiple injuries on the offensive line, you can go back to Doug's last season. That can cripple you. And you're never going to replace it. If Fred Johnson had to play 17 games, you would have known it. If Tyler Steen had to play 17 games, you would have known it. So it depends. Can they but by persevere, I mean for a game or two, for a half, for this, for that. But that's better than most teams. That is way better than most teams. And Matt Pryor being here, who can play 4 different positions at a capable level. And Kendall Lamb, even, who's a guy who might not even make the team, but he has been, he started a lot of games in the NFL. A lot of games. And he's your potential swing tackle. Now he's, replacement for Fred. who went to Jacksonville, but he's more ready. He's better than Fred. I'll tell you that. And I like Fred, but Kendall Lamb has started a lot of games in this league. So yeah, I kind of disagree with that.
All right. So you're feeling good about the depth there. I mean, look, anytime you lose, if you lose 2 starters on the offensive line, yeah, it's probably not going to be great. I mean, but we Eagles are pretty well equipped as compared to most of the NFL. So plenty of stuff, John, here to talk about. I want to talk about some bubble players, John, on the roster. I teased that earlier in the week, and I want to talk about that because I think we all know what the battles are going into camp. We all know where the positions of focus are as we enter training camp. But I do want to talk about kind of the back end of the roster and guys you think might be on the bubble. I saw an article out there. I think it was on NBC Sports, maybe from Dave Zangaro, if I'm not mistaken, but some veteran players who are on the bubble. There's a kind of a lot out there, John, that are, teetering on, will they make the squad? How will the roster shake up? If you remember last year, John, it was kind of a thing also where Howie had to shake and bake a little bit or try and make the right moves. It's a little bit of gamesmanship to try and know, okay, who will get through waivers, who won't, who can we keep for now, who can we bring back, who can we get to the practice squad, all those different things. So when I say bubble players, is there any guys that immediately come to mind to you? There's a couple I have that I want to run by you, but just anyone that comes to top of mind for you, John.
Well, I do it a little bit differently, and I call it the 100% club. A little bit different from the 99% club. This is the guys 100% that they are going to be on the team. And by 100%, I always mean 100%. So, we leave injuries aside because there's no way to predict injuries. But like Jahan Dotson is not in my 100% club only because I think there's a very small path that somebody like Terrace Marshall can have a great summer and Danny Gray have a great summer. And the Eagles say, you know what, we're good enough. Let's trade Jahan Dotson for something. So to me, it's like 98. So I say 100% means 100%. That means there's no avenue. These guys are not going to be on the team. And that number is 34 this year. And that's down from 37 last year. So a little bit more uncertainty, which shouldn't be a surprise after what happened in the offseason. But so I got 34 guys, and I'll run them down really quick. And by the way, it was 100% with that. I was 100% on my 100% club on the 37 last year.
Nice. So you're shooting. Your 100% was accurate in that you were right about him.
Yeah. So this year, quarterbacks Jalen Hurts, Tanner McKee. So I don't even put Colin McCord, even though he's a 98% guy, because hey, maybe Dorian Thompson-Robinson has a great summer, and you Howie does the old, he's got a sprained ankle and goes about it that way, like he did last year with Anaya Smith. So again, 100% means 100%. Running back Saquon Barkley, Will Shipley, A.J. Dillon doesn't get there because of his injury. Right. Wide receivers, only 2. A lot of wide receivers, not that they're bad, but it's A.J. Devontae. 100% again. Tight end, Dallas Goedert. That's it. Offensive line, Jordan Mailata, Landon Dickerson, Cam Jurgens, Tyler Steen, Lane Johnson, Drew Kendall. 100%. Yeah,
wow. Drew Kendall as a rookie gets the 100% club. I love it.
Miles Hinton and Cameron Williams are going to be here, but hey, if you can only keep one, then you got to play the game and you got to make up an injury or you got to get them through waivers, yada, yada, yada.
And you must know that they really like Drew Kendall.
Yeah, they do. They really like Miles Hinton. I'd be 98 on Miles Hinton, but I'm not 100. Edge rushers, Nolan Smith, Jalix Hunt, Azeez Ojulari are my 3. Interior defensive line, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Moro Jomo, Ty Robinson are 4 100%ers. Off-ball linebacker, Zach Bond, Trotter, Jihad Campbell, N'Kobe, but he'll be on the PUP list, obviously, but he'll obviously be here. Corners, Quinyon Cooper, Kaylee Ringo, Adoree Jackson, are my 100%ers. Safety, Reed, Drew, and Sydney are my 100%ers. Specialist, obviously, they have no competition, so it's going to be Jake Elliott, Braden Mann, Charlie Hewlett, and that makes 30, whatever I said, 34.
34 names. 34 names.
So everybody else, now again, you have a bunch of guys starting with Kyle McCord. Yeah, he's going to be here. There's no doubt he's going to be here. But they're not 100%. And
the 98% club might be pretty big, might be pretty 10 names deep.
Yeah, there's a lot of guys. But actual bubble players,
I'm kind of surprised you had Adoree Jackson, 100%.
100%.
Well, the only reason I say that is because if Ringo fails and they brought in a corner, would he be the guy out?
Still going to be here as the top backup. And B, he's a good player. I mean,
yeah, I like him too, actually.
But one of the things that I just, the Eagles have 90 people now, right? Because it's the off season. The oldest defensive player they have is Perry Nickerson, who is not going to make the team.
Now, how old is Perry Nickerson?
30. And Adoree will be 30 on September 18th, I believe. They have, I mean, there's one thing. They had one of the youngest defenses in the NFL last season, had tremendous success. But you had guys, you had Slay, you had BG, you had even Oren Burks and Isaiah Rodgers had some experience before he got here, and players like lose that. They are incredibly young. Incredibly. I mean, that to me is something to keep an eye on. And we talk about leaders, like you lost defensive captains. All right, who's going to be captain? Well, I think Reed's going to be a captain. And we've talked about it in the past, who leads each room. The edge room, Jeremiah Washburn's room, Nolan Smith does. He's the leader. Jordan Davis is the leader interior. Linebackers, Nakobe. If you want to boil it down to cornerbacks and safety, I mean, Reed's the leader overall. A corner, who do you even pick? I don't know. Probably Cooper, but I don't know. I mean, in reality, it'll be Adoree. Pretty no question, which is why I get to that point. But, who just got here. So we're going to see, man, because it's bad enough to lose players like Brandon Graham, Darius Slay on the field, but obviously they're not what they once were. And it makes sense to move on from a business standpoint. But, boy, you'd like to have one or two of those guys around.
Yeah. How much credence do you give to that they are in a very experienced group of young guys? I mean, there's not many guys that are this young in the NFL that have the type of experience that these guys do. And I mean, even going back to college, I know it's not the same game, but I do think it comes into play when you have this many young guys on the team. Well, how much credit do you give to that?
That's the idea of handling adversity versus success. I mean, yeah. Like, let's use the corners as an example. All they know is success, really. They were both so good. Quinyon was top 10. Cooper was number 1 overall, from PFF. Yeah, you can say, he struggled a little bit against Adam Thielen. All right. There's going to be adversity somewhere along the line. Trust me. Sauce Gardner just got $120 million. Maybe the most talented cornerback in football. Guess what? He's gotten beat. He's had difficult seasons. So how do you handle that part of it? All they've known is success. How do you handle the other part of it? So you can kind of look at it both ways. But, the more experience and they played helps. And they certainly weren't overwhelmed. So I expect them to continue to having good seasons, but cornerback's a position where, you know, some of the best that have ever done it, you know, it's like PLG made the same same comparison I use often. They're like baseball relievers, man. They have up years, down years, just by the nature of the position. So it's handling adversity is something everybody expects to do. Some of them do it well. Some do it well, but they expect it if they have any common sense. Handling success, a whole different ball game. And we're going to see how they handle success.
Yep. We're going to see for
More,
sure.
real quick.
Yeah, go ahead.
More smoke got blown up their ass last night out in Hollywood.
That's true, man. Are you wondering if there's too much smoke being blown up the Eagles?
Oh, well, there always is. The question is, how do you handle it?
Rat poison.
There's certain like guys you don't worry about. Like I don't worry about Jalen Hurts, but
yeah,
he wasn't even there. Surprisingly, I think he wasn't there, but
I didn't see him there. He was in Greece with Jordan.
Yeah, he's probably still in Greece. Yeah. Anyway, so, and Nick's already talked about that handling success. That's a big part of what he's trying to do is try to get these guys to handle success well.
Dad says it's not smoke when you earn it. Well, it's still smoke in the sense that it can, it's like perfume, like Sirianni said, Dad.
Man.
Don't eat it, man. Don't eat it.
There it is. There's the identity of the Eagles, man. Smoke up your ass is smoke up your ass. It don't matter if you deserve it, undeserve it, whatever. It's what Sirianni was talking about, the perfume. Smell it. Don't drink it because it's poison.
It is poison. I hear you, Daz. Good stuff there. We'll see how it all plays out, man. I do think you're right, John, where there is some adversity in that regard, and it will be interesting to see how the young guys handle it with really the lack of a true long-term veteran like they've had in the past. You had Slay and BG. You obviously brought those two names up. I mean, not only are they veteran players, John, but they're extremely accomplished. NFL.
Yeah.
Very accomplished. I mean, most are not that accomplished across the league when you look at what Slay and BG have accomplished. So it will be interesting to see. But, John, I feel good, man. I feel like this team, these young guys are different than most young guys. I know that might be Eagle fandom in me, whatever, but I really think that these guys come from good organizations. They came from championship pedigree schools. They know what it takes to win at the highest level. They have the right mentality on and off the football field. I do think it's a special group of players that the team has assembled. Now, does that guarantee that they handle it all well? No, it doesn't. But I think it improves their odds.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think most of them will be fine. I'm just interested to see not have that. You know, when CJ did his interview on the pivot, like there's so much to that. And I took something from it that I think nobody else did. And that was his Josh Jobe story that I told yesterday. Yeah. It wasn't because of people being a little bit jealous about him coming in late when he first got here and him jumping the line, so to speak. It's not what I took from it. Who did Josh Jobe go to when he felt uncomfortable? Darius Slay. I've been saying for years, because people don't understand because of Slay's personality and his sort of gregariousness, although in a much more positive standpoint for the most part. But kind of a, loud guy, funny guy. Same with Brandon. But everybody loves the dude. And you get these young people Josh was a rookie at the time. Wherever, Josh from Florida, I think, went to Alabama. But, I always say that's another thing people don't think about. You're 21, 22, 23 years old. and you're taken out of your comfort level and thrown into a big city you don't know anything about.
Actually,
That
a really good take.
that is a tough adjustment for any young person. And what they do is lean on their teammates. And there is not a better teammate in the National Football League than Darius Slay. Not a better team. I mean, nobody is more positive reinforcement. He enforces other guys from other teams that people get pissed off about. And you lost that. I'm just saying it's real. Who did Josh Jobe go to when he felt uncomfortable as a rookie? You know, I always tell the Devin Allen story, the Olympic sprinter that was here for a few years trying to make the transition back to football. When the Eagles first brought Devin Allen in, he didn't know anybody, obviously. He hadn't even been playing football. He gave up football at Oregon to run track and had tremendous success. And the Eagles signed him, came in, didn't know anybody, and he was doing double duty. He was running the Penn relays, still doing track stuff. And Slay organizes a group of teammates to go down to support him at the Penn relays. That shit's rare, man. And I've been talking about this on this show for years. People, and Slay specifically, people don't know how good of a teammate he was, how well respected. But the business comes into it. And I don't agree with the Eagles' decision from a business standpoint. I've said that multiple times. They got to figure out if Ringo can play. This is the year. If you don't figure out this year, you basically wasted his rookie contract. So I have no issues from a business standpoint. And I agree with their decision. But that stuff that nobody thinks about, that a lot of that stuff is real.
Yeah, that's like a human element perspective on it. I think it's a good. I actually think it's a good take. I mean, I do think there's a lot of those things that happen that sometimes as fans we can just shut out. You know, they're playing a game, they're on the football field, they're superstar athletes, all these different things. But there is a lot of those real things that come into play. So we'll see how it all goes this year, Johnny Mac. I think it's going to go well, but I hear what you're saying. But we will see, obviously, what ends up happening with everything on that front. I do think they got a good special group of young guys, and we'll see how they manage everything that goes on this year. We'll take our first commercial break right now. When we come back, I want to talk about a couple different position groups I have in mind. I'm going to talk wide receiver 3. I want to talk tight end battle. Who's emerging in the cornerback room? Linebacker depth and role, guard competition. There's plenty of things to talk about before training camp. So we're going to get you guys set as training camp kicks off next week. We've talked about everything all summer. All right. There's nothing that we've left out. So we will repeat ourselves, but the goal is to prepare you now in the final week before training camp to get you ready to rock, ready to know what to look for when all the beat reporters are tweeting out videos and posts and articles and all sorts of different things. And we'll have YouTube videos up here on YouTube. So that's the goal. Stay locked in here on Birds 365. Let me make sure I got all my super chats. Dank Bird Gang says, we have a new Agent Zero, Josh Uche season. Sarcasm.
Yeah, well, I mean, Josh, I just did my 100%ers. He is not a 100%er, but he's a guy I could see being a big impact on this team, and he's a guy I could see being cut. That's, he's one of those guys. And, one thing we should have talked about is Von Miller signing with Washington.
That's right. Yeah, I saw that.
I mean, again, big name trap. One of the greatest pass rushers of all time, by the way. That's not hyperbole. Now he's 36 years old or 30. But I'll tell you what, if he's a rotational piece, pass rusher, that's all he is at this stage. But I feel a hell of a lot more comfortable. That is the one position I mentioned that to BLG. I'm like, ooh, that could go bad. Like, what could go bad? I mean, really bad. And outside the obvious of multiple injuries, like we were saying with the offensive line.
Right, which exists on every team.
Yeah, it exists everywhere. Yeah, in every team, every year. Outside of that, like just from a performance standpoint, what could go dramatically wrong? I look at edge rusher 1, and number 2 would be safety, but number 2 is pretty far behind. Because I think you have multiple bodies that are pretty similar at safety, and you at least at the Bear. Like I know how Vic trusts Tristan McCullum, and nobody talks about Tristan. At the bare minimum, he'll go out there and line up correctly. That's what I'm talking about. So I don't have as much concern at safety. Edge rusher could go really bad, especially if Nolan Smith doesn't turn into not a good player, because he already is a good player, a really good player who's on the field consistently.
Right.
For 17 games.
Going to be interesting. Wilfredo again checks in. He says, Washington running a nursing home, ?
Well, we just talked about it. They're going the exact opposite route. Yeah. So we're going to see. We're going to see, because, they've got a bunch of veteran players who are accomplished, and they just added a no doubt about it first ballot Hall of Famer who was one of the greatest pass rushers certainly ever of the modern generation. I don't know. I got to count up as all pros. 7 all pros.
Yeah, but that is in the past. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
he's 36 years old, but he's and what he had been in Buffalo is a situational pass rusher. And he even had 6 sacks last year. Now he had and he had 8 sacks in 2022. I don't know what went wrong. I know he got suspended at one point. I don't know what went on in 2023, but he could still get to the pass. As a situational pass rusher, would you rather have Von Miller or, again, just from a pure football standpoint, more than Josh Uche or Azeez Ojulari? Again, if you're being honest, nursing home or not, you can get Bonnet Kane, and I think he'd get to the pass rusher quicker than those guys. He knows what he's doing. We'll get to the passer. So
that is an old team, though.
Is he a starter? No, obviously not. But again, the Eagles want to come.
I mean, the cliche exists, John, that it's a young man's game, and we obviously know that that's true.
Sure.
How do you balance the two things?
Well, that's what we're just talking about.
Yeah.
It's a young man's game. Everybody talks about how young the Eagles defense was. They're all right, but they had Brandon Graham. They had Slay, who weren't young men and who also contributed mightily. Especially Slay, because obviously
on and off the field,
PG got hurt. Yeah. But on the field, Slay was still cornerback 1, despite what everybody thinks. So it's nice to have a mix. Now, to the point, has Washington gone too far? Maybe. But we're going to see. I mean, that's what this season's going to be about. To me, it ain't about the Cowboys. It's about the Eagles and the Commanders as far as the NFC East goes. And as you say, they got Perry Nickerson is the oldest Eagles defender. Just if you start off with Von Miller now and Bobby Wagner, who's going to the Hall of Fame, and he's still playing at a very high level. There's a lot of experience, a lot of know-how, a lot of demonstrated performance, as Nick Sirianni would call it.
Yeah, we'll see what ends up happening, Johnny Mac. I'm going to take the youngsters, but I hear you. I do think I did wonder, one of the biggest questions I had as a proud Eagle fan is, did we go too young? Did we take it too far? And that's what we're going to find out as we talked about here in the opening segment today. Let's get to our commercial break. Appreciate everybody being here. We've had a great crowd all summer, and now we're within a week until training camp. Hit that like button, everybody. Good to see some great names checking back in on the chat. I appreciate all of you guys for being here. Hit the like button. We'll be right back in 3 minutes on Birds 365.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone & Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. Less than a week away from the Eagles training camp kicking off. Appreciate you all being here. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. Give us follows on X at Zander Krause and at JF McMullen. Johnny Mack, a couple of positions I want to talk about here as we prep for training camp. A couple that we talked about a little bit. You brought up the Jahan Dotson talk, and I want to go there. Let's talk about who fights for playing time at wide receiver 3. I think if Dotson's here, we know it's going to be him. But I do think what you said is valid in terms of, I don't know, do they think if the other guys play well enough that they could move Jahan Dotson? Who comes after Jahan Dotson? What's that receiver room look like, John, after the top two, Devontae and AJ, and you get a little further down the board?
Yeah, well, nobody's fighting for playing time as long as Jahan is here. I think, it's pretty evident that he's going to be gone after this year because he's not going to have the opportunities here. So that's the only reason I leave the door slightly ajar for the Eagles, saying if they can get something for him, why not flip him and get something for him, because he's going to leave after the season anyway. And that would only come to fruition if some of the other guys stepped up. And to me, the only two guys in that conversation are Terrace Marshall, who's a free agent signing, one of the Tamu off signings, second round pick a couple years ago in Carolina, big time college receiver at LSU. He's got some talent and had a pretty good spring. And Danny Gray, third round pick from San Francisco a couple years ago, who's really fast, 4.33 guy. Could also be factor in as the kick returner, so that might help him in a dual role. But a lot of that depends on Avery Williams, who's going to be the kick returner if he's healthy. But he wasn't healthy. We have no idea what's wrong with him, what's going on. So those are the main receiving options, and then you talk about Johnny Wilson, who I think is going to make the team because they're run first team. I think they like the ability to bully people. And Johnny Wilson helps with that in certain packages. And then Anais Smith is going to be interesting because he didn't have a great rookie season, was set back by a stress fracture in his shin, which they found at the combine. Was a really good, versatile college player at Texas A&M. If that guy shows up, he adds something that they don't have, which is sort of that manufactured touch guy, gadget guy, whatever you want to describe it as. They've talked about that a little bit with Avery Williams as well, if he's healthy. And he could be the punt returner, again, if Avery Williams is not cracked up to the job. So there's a lot of ways down the bottom. But if you're talking about guys actually playing receivers, the guys behind Dotson are Marshall and Gray more than Wilson and Smith. Now, who's more valuable on the back end of the roster? It might be Wilson and Smith because of the uniqueness. So it's kind of pick your flavor if you're Howie Roseman.
A lot of different options, a lot of different ways to go there, John. Anybody you feel like they're probably going to get cut? Who you feeling like is going to get cut from that group? They can't keep them all.
No, well, from the group I talked about, they have other guys, Elijah Cooks, big, tall, 6'4" guy, Charles Jackson, undrafted guys, Taylor Boren, I've talked about a lot as a potential punt returner. He's got some Britton Covey vibes. Those guys are probably getting cut. Again, the surprise because of the uniqueness and could be Morin as a punt returner. Taking that Covey path, but those are the obvious cuts. For the group, the Marshall, Gray, Anais, Johnny Wilson group, I would say Anais is the most likely to be cut. But the thing about Marshall is, do you really need him as a fourth receiver? Like, to me, if you need somebody to play receiver, God forbid, I'm taking Terrace Marshall. But if you don't need him to play receiver, like, what else is he going to do for you? He's not going to return kicks. He's not a kick returner. Too big for that. Doesn't have the, for punt returns, you need that short area quickness. For kick returns, you need the long speed. It's changed a little bit with the new kickoffs, but whatever. That's more Danny Gray. So everybody else helps also. Gray helps as a potential kick returner, and who knows, he might be a good, may be a good coverage guy because of his speed. That is to be determined. Have never seen it, so that's just a projection. But you could certainly envision it when it comes to, a gunner route that Kaylee Ringo was so good at it. Why was Kaylee Ringo so good at it? Well, he's a defensive player, but he can also run. Those guys got to be able to run. And Danny Gray's that, projection. Morin is, again, a punt returner, kick returner. Anais is a punt returner, kick returner, and has some of that. He can play in the backfield. He was a running back at Texas A&M. He can do a lot of different things. And Johnny Wilson is blocking, and he can play on special teams as not a gunner type, but more of an inside coverage player. So they all offer versatility, and that's generally what you need as a backup player at wide receiver. You need to be able to do something else. But, Howie's been trying to find the guy. He signed Devontae Parker. A lot of people forget about that. And Devontae showed up and signed, and then he said, you know what? I don't feel like playing anymore. I'm going to retire. And they never really had that outside backup, outside the numbers backup at receiver until they got Jahan Dotson. They made the trade. He can do both, but he might want that type of player that Terrace Marshall is. So these are the difficult decisions you have to make. And, do you really want a guy just sitting there who's never going to play until somebody gets hurt? I don't know.
It's a good comment. I mean, we'll see what ends up happening there. I agree with your point about it. Yeah, who do you want playing if somebody does go down? We'll see how it all shakes out. John, let's move on to the tight end battle beyond the starters.
Harrison Bryant talk.
Well, in your locks, John, it stood out to me because only one tight end there. Now, we kind of knew this because they've had this approach to the tight end all offseason. We didn't even know if Goddard was going to be here for much of the offseason. Only 100%er in the tight end room, which really leaves a lot of question marks and a lot of different ways to go. I thought for sure you'd put Grant Calcaterra as a lock. You didn't. What are you thinking about that tight end room after Dallas Goedert?
Well, Grant's probably 95%, but they have better backups. So, one of the things I said about the offseason during the uncertainty of Dallas Goedert was that, all right, the tight end's going to be a problem if they don't have Dallas Goedert. But at the same time, their backup tight ends are going to be better. They just don't have a starter. Now they have a starter, a big-time starter, and they have the best backup situation they've had in years. What comes with that is uncertainty because whether it's Grant, Harrison Bryant, Kylan Granson, even E.J. Jenkins, who's been here, Nick Muse opened some eyes in the spring. He was one of the best players. He deserves some second-team reps. We'll see if that develops in training camp. They have more guys who could potentially help you as backup tight ends than they have had in recent years. So that puts more pressure on Grant, and obviously then Harrison Bryant, Kylan Granson, and if you want to throw E.J. Jenkins and Nick Muse in that conversation, get to compete with each other. But yeah, I mean, Grant's probably going to be tight end too. The Eagles like him a lot. Haven't seen a ton of production. And then you're much better off. Last year was E.J. Jenkins for the most part, and now you have Bryant and Granson and Muse to push for that third spot. But guess what? The Eagles only kept 2 tight ends when they cut to their initial 53 last season. They'll probably keep 3 this time, but they ain't keeping 4. So those guys are all competing with each other.
It's going to be interesting to see. That position is shaky, Johnny Mac. Tight end position.
I think it's better than it's ever been. But it's uncertain because you're going to have legitimate competition.
That's a better word than uncertain. But
like Harrison Bryant is better than E.J. Jenkins was last year. We'll see how much E.J. competes. Kylan Granson's better than E.J. Jenkins was last year. You can make an argument Nick Muse was better. So they're better, but
right,
you have to see how it shakes out.
Right. There's more different avenues it could go. Makes sense. So you're pretty confident in that tight end room then. What do you think Dallas Goedert's going to do this year? You think he's going to have a bigger season than he did a year ago?
I mean, with Dallas, it's about health. He had a big playoff season. If you envision that over 17 games, the history is he'll miss some time. We'll see. But yeah, I mean, he's just a really good player. That depends on health and, again, the larger spectrum of how the Eagles are doing when it comes to throwing the football. If they throw it 360 times again, well, nobody's going to be a high volume guy. But if they have to go up to 450, then you have more avenues, and he's a big part of it, as you saw in the playoffs last year.
I think he could have a big season. He's one of the guys I have just a desire for him to do more, because I think his talent is so big, but it's not utilized entirely here in Philly. At least I don't think it is. I've called him overrated at times in the past because I felt like he was getting hurt a lot. I didn't feel like they were using him, as much as he could be used. But I don't think the player is overrated. I just don't think the offense fully puts him in a position to maximize his value, which might not matter. I mean, they got Saquon. It's part of having a lot of great players. But I do want to see a little bit more of Dallas Goedert in the offense this year. I think it opens up a lot of things, especially when you use that middle of the field.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's just turn on the playoff games. I mean, he was the guy in the playoffs. Dallas Goedert was. He was unbelievable. So, yeah, I mean, I don't doubt him at all as a player. I think the other stuff you talk about is purely based on, people talk about unfairness and disrespect season, just as Jalen Hurts gets disrespected for not throwing the football a lot. Well, that means Dallas Goedert gets disrespected for not catching a lot. But it's the same when he gets the opportunities, he performs at a high level. So the other stuff comes with accolades and the injury stuff we've talked about a lot. I mean, I do think he hurts himself with his playing style, but that's tough to turn that off. And he's verbalized he needs to turn it down, but then he's out there against Green Bay and everybody's cheering him. That's how about that? That's like a drug when you're dragging the defensive back and destroying them, and everybody's, 1 week, that dude's made out of glass, and next week they're blowing smoke up his ass about, stiff arming a defensive back into oblivion, which is how he broke his forearm the one time. So that's the give and take you're talking about. But he's an extremely physical player, and that has contributed to some of his injuries, not all. The one he got hurt with the shoulder, broke the glenoid bone. That was just bad luck. I mean, which happens in football. But when he's out there, he's difficult to deal with, especially when you have AJ and Devontae. I mean, you can't spend a lot of time if AJ Brown and Devontae Smith are out there saying, "Oh, we got a Travis Kelce Dallas guy." You can't do it. So he's basically always open. But the Eagles are not a high volume passing team.
We'll see how much they use Dallas Goedert in the tight end room this year. JD3. Let's see what Harrison Bryant can do. If he does legitimately anything.
How much does JD think he's going to play if he makes the team?
Well, that's my point. If he does legitimately anything, John, like anything, I will buy JD3 a Harrison Bryant jersey. If he does anything, I will get this guy a Harrison Bryant jersey.
Again, hey, maybe you never wish for it, but I mean, for him to get extensive playing time, injuries have to happen, which you shouldn't want for anybody, but that's what has to happen. But Grant, obviously, I was looking up Grant's numbers. He had 24 receptions last year, and Dallas missed, whatever he missed, how many games. So there's an uptick because of that. And, the Eagles played a lot of heavy personnel packages. So, he started 13 games. He had 24 catches. So if you're the tight end 2 on this team and you're complaining about the tight end 1's touches and he should have more touches, I got news for you. You're going to be disappointed.
That's true, Johnny Mac. That is true. We'll see what ends up happening with the tight end room, wide receiver room I just talked about. John, let's move over to the other side of the ball for a second. I want to talk cornerbacks. Obviously, we know Cooper DeJean and Quinyon Mitchell. We even know Keely Ringo and Adoree Jackson. Is there a small chance a guy like a Mac McWilliams could emerge at, I don't know, maybe Keely's no good on the outside. He kicked Cooper outside. Mac comes into the slot. Is there any chance of something like that happening with one of the lower or the back end roster guys in the cornerback room? Or do you think those top four are going to make up the 3 spots however they slice it?
Yeah, I do. I mean, there's a slight chance, but it has more to do with, guys wowing. I don't know how much opportunity Mac McWilliams is going to get to wow anybody. I don't know how much opportunity Drew Makuba is going to have to play in the slots to wow anybody. So it's basically going to be Keely Ringo trying to hold up Adoree Jackson outside, and Cooper will play outside in the rare instances they're in the base defense, which is not really the base defense, but I don't want to go down that route. But he'll play outside, then kick inside and play the slot. That's 99% how it's going to happen. Again, barring injuries, this is the caveat to everything. That's 99% how it's going to happen. And I think the Eagles are very comfortable with Adoree Jackson. So as far as if Keely Ringo does not perform and has a bad summer, I think they're going to be very comfortable with Adoree Jackson playing. So I don't see a lot of other avenues for it to shake out.
What about Mac McWilliams? What's your expectation for him this year?
I think he's going to be on the team, and I think he's going to essentially, help on special teams in red shirt and hopefully develop behind the scenes. But he's got versatility to play inside and outside, so that helps as a backup, similar to what I said. You got to be able to do different things. They already started him in the spring. He played outside in college for the most part, but he's a little bit too undersized to do it at this level consistently. So most people projected him inside, and the Eagles did start working him inside by the end of by the minicamp practice. So they're already cross training him, which is a positive sign. That means he's picking up things quickly. So he's going to be here, but you don't want to see him playing because that's probably an indication something bad happened. But yeah. Day 3 pick. He's going to be here, develop behind the scenes, and hopefully can turn into something down the road.
Where are you at in Keely Ringo? Any confidence in him? I mean, I know we haven't seen him. I know nothing's changed from the last time we talked, but I think for many Eagles fans, he is the biggest question mark on the defense this year. I think it's safety, but pick your poison. It's one or the other for me.
Yeah, I've been I'm pretty high on Keely. I think he's going to be a good player, but you got to wait and see. He's got big shoes to fill, even though he's not filling Slay's shoes. That's how people will project it as. Mitchell's actually going to play Slay's position. So, but things bump up. And it's his turn. It's his time. He's got everything from a physical standpoint to play the position. Ridiculously long, which is what teams want from outside corners. Ridiculously fast, sub 4.4 guy. You've seen that with some of his gunner snaps on special teams. Physical. He can play and run support, so Vic's going to like that. Only question is technique and being handled, that part and the fundamentals and doing what you're supposed to do and being in the right spot and learning Vic's defense. And, because again, it's pretty complicated compared to other defenses with the array of zone coverages. A lot of them are man match coverages inside the zone. And then you gotta hand them off when they're leaving the zone. Lot of room for miscommunication. So that to me is the biggest question. Can he handle that part of it? Physically, there's no reason he shouldn't be a top tier corner in this league. But there's a lot of guys that you can say that about, and they don't end up being that. And it's usually because they don't pick up the parts that nobody talks about or very few talk about. And that's the football IQ part of it that Cooper and Quignon excelled at as rookies.
You think there's any physical limitations with Ringo? Some people talk about the hips. He's very fast. He's a very physical player on the field. What problems do you think or do you see could run?
There's nothing traits wise that he's got better traits than Quignon and Cooper. I mean, physical traits. And again, I think if he would have stayed in college, he was the youngest player drafted in the NFL. Still younger than Quignon. Still freaking younger than Quignon. If he would have stayed another year in Georgia, there's no doubt in my mind he would have been a first-round pick. No doubt in my mind. Because of his physical abilities. Now, people point to Eli Ricks, who's still here, and say, well, before his senior season, there were a bunch of mock drafts, early mock, which tells you the value of those. Early mock drafts, he's going to be a first-round pick. He's going to be and he didn't even get drafted. So people will say it can go in a negative direction. And that's true, as Eli proves. But Eli ran like a 4.6. Like he could run. And you got to be able to run to play corner in the NFL. Keely Ringo's the fastest corner they have. And he's the biggest corner they have, which tells you there is nothing from a physical standpoint that will limit Keely Ringo. It's the other stuff. It's the understanding of the defense. It's the discipline, the fundamentals, the technique. So when you talk about hips, that's more technique oriented. You can fix that. Doesn't mean you will fix it. Well, yeah, I mean, nothing from a physical standpoint that limits that kid. And like when AJ Brown talks about you, like AJ Brown talks about Keely Ringo, that holds weight for me.
I agree with that. No doubt about it, Johnny Mac. Good stuff there, man. On the corners, we talked tight ends, talked a little bit of wide receiver. Those are some good position battles, John. Let's go into the linebacker group now that we're on the defensive side of the ball. I think a weird position because maybe the deepest it's ever been, but a little bit hamstrung early by a couple of injuries with Jahad Campbell and Nakobe Dean. When those guys get back, I look at this thing, I'm like, you almost have an embarrassment of riches. Who gets on the field? Is it your first rounder Campbell? Is it Nakobe Dean, who played arguably Pro Bowl level season last year? I know he didn't make it, but you could have argued he could have. You have Zach Bond, who was a first-team All-Pro. Got Trotter and Munden. Like, there's a lot of guys there. But again, hampered a little bit by injury early in the year. How do you see the linebacker position approaching this season?
Yeah, well, I mean, Nakobe's not going to be there at the start of the season. I don't care how many videos people post or pictures. He's not going to be there at the start of the season. That injury needs time to heal. And he'll be back. And when he's back, he's going to be the middle linebacker. Vic has been pretty consistent with that. Before that point, a lot depends on where Jahad is. Again, Vic said August. There's a big difference between August 1st and August 21st. If he's there August 1st, I think he'll have an opportunity to play early. If he's there August 21st, I don't think he'll have an opportunity to play early. But I think the Eagles are preparing for week one. It's going to be Zach Bond and Trot, Jeremiah Trotter Jr. And then, how quickly does Jahad pick it up? And how quickly does Nakobe get back? Those are the questions. But the luxury of playing time, and I think Trot's going to be there week one. It's the luxury of playing time, and that's if you're playing well, nobody's taking you off the field. So that's the opportunity he's going to have as a second-year player. But he's got to hold off a big-time good player in Nakobe Dean, which isn't going to happen. And he's got to hold off a first-round pick with immense talent, which isn't going to happen if you're going to be realistic. So, but yeah, I think it'll be Trotter early, and then how quick does Nakobe get back? And I think Jihad's sort of in the middle of situationally, is he ready to play? Then he might, surpass Trot before Nakobe gets back, and then he goes back, recedes to the linebacker 3 role. So it's basically all dependent on when those guys get back. But the positive part of all the good stuff you see about Nakobe with the videos and the pictures is he's going to be healthy. It's just a matter of when. And when he is healthy, he's going to be the middle linebacker.
I can't wait to see it, man. Jihad Campbell, I mentioned it the other day, John. He's just it's an interesting thing right now because the team won the Super Bowl, so fans are kind of on cloud 9. They don't, there's not much to complain about when you win a Super Bowl, John, and there's not much to have concern with. But spent a first-round pick on this guy. I think his upside is through the roof, but just haven't heard a lot about him. We don't know when we're going to see him. Some people think, oh, will we see him early? Will we see him late in camp? Will we see him early in camp? We don't even really know, but I'm excited to see because I do think his skill set is perfect for Vic Fangio.
Yeah, I mean, that's what Vic is looking for, to have that ability to have hybrid players who can do different things, sort of positionless football. So that's why I was so excited to get him. And I think that'll probably develop more down the road and toward 2026. And right now this season, partially because of the injury, but also just the nature of it's a lot to learn if you're going to play both in Vic's defense. And that's why, he mentioned he's starting out at all-ball linebacker because there's more to learn there than just go get the quarterback as a pass rusher. But yeah, this might be a player I've said pretty consistently that Eagles fans really haven't seen before, at least in this era. Who can play stacked on first down, second down, and then maybe rush the passer on third down as an edge rusher. And who knows? I mean, that was the Cowboys. It wasn't even the Cowboys' plan, but there's a little bit of disconnect with Howie, and I don't know if the messaging was, but Howie played up more of his pass rushing ability and brought up the comparisons to Micah Parsons and Abdul Carter, who are edge rushers more than linebackers, not the opposites, but they both can play off ball. And what is Campbell going to be? And now it's shifted back to, because he's practicing with the linebackers, people think he's going to be more linebacker than edge rusher. Ultimately, I think if he can rush the passer like Micah Parsons, he's going to rush the passer. That I know. That because that's just more important, especially for this team
the
at this
potential
time.
here is crazy. Now, it doesn't mean it's going to be realized, but the upside there that exists with him next to Bond and the versatile skill sets is really insane.
Yeah, well, and then you have to see Zach and how it works out. Zach's got to be, in that scenario, Zach's got to be the middle linebacker. So you're sort of taking a little bit away from him, and you really want to take a little bit away from Zach Bond. So there's a lot that's going to go into it.
Do you have any concern on Bond? I mean, I've heard, I listened to Mike Gill. He obviously, and I don't think their points are wrong. Like Cilio says the same thing. He's like, Zach Bond was great. Being great for 1 year doesn't make you a great linebacker. I agree with that. I feel like Zach Bond, though, has the skill set needed to duplicate what he did, or at least get close and have a comparable level of play. Maybe not statistically or anything like that. But do you have concerns on Zach Bond? Do you think of it like that, or do you kind of look at that and say, yeah, they're good at that position?
No, I have no concerns about Zach Bond. I think a lot of people are get caught up in the fact that, well, what happened in New Orleans? Well, that's New Orleans' problem. I mean, you got the best linebacker coach in the NFL saying, I think this guy can play off-ball linebacker. They never envisioned it that way. And what stood out, because my buddy Ed Kratz is like, well, I think without Vic, which is true, he never turns into what he turned into. Yeah, but Vic saw it. Vic didn't turn him. Vic didn't give him his instincts. Vic didn't give him his athletic ability. Vic didn't give him his versatility. He just saw it.
Well, yeah, but a lot of people have that can't convert it into, consistent high level.
But that's
NFL
what I'm
play.
saying. That stuff's not going away. He's instinctive. That's not going away. He's athletic. That's not going away yet.
Right.
So I don't have any questions over Zach Bond. In fact, I'm a little bit more concerned over just what I said. If you want Zach Bond and Jihad Campbell on the field at the same time, which they certainly do,
right,
by not necessarily this year, but certainly by 2026, to me, you're taking a little bit away from Zach Bond. You really want to do that? Because middle linebacker, you have to be a little bit more responsible. You have to be a little bit more. You can't do as much as the splashy playmaking stuff. You got to be a little bit more restrained. That is my bigger concern, but that's rich people problems. I want Zach Bond to be my weak side linebacker. I want Zach Bond free and unfettered to be able to sort of play a hero role, a robber role, do whatever he needs to do on a specific defense, rather than being the rock in the middle who's got to get everybody lined up correctly and all that kind of stuff. But nobody projects. I'm not going to say nobody, because a lot of people, but I don't think the Eagles see that with Campbell. So I think you have a little bit of redundancy, albeit tremendously gifted redundancy.
right.
And that means one guy's got to play Jakobi's position. Which, whether it is, and they might let Campbell do it, which I doubt, but they might, because Becca's already said Zach could do it. And where he plays, Mike or Will, is dependent on the other guys. He's already said that. So he knows Zach can do it. So it's probably going to be him. And I don't like that. But
all right, this scenario. Try and walk me through this. Because I hear what you're saying, and I think Nakobe is too good to get him completely off the field, but I understand obviously what's going on with Jihad and Zach. It's week 13, John. Everybody's healthy in the linebacker room. What does that rotation look like? Is Nakobe Dean on the field at all? Is he on the field a lot? Is it Jihad Campbell who's not on the? What does that look like, the rotation there?
Well, unless Vic's lying to me, and he rarely lies to me, Nakobe Dean is the middle linebacker for this year. And Zach will be he'll be the dime linebacker as he was last year. So in the rare instances, they're in dime. So he's the guy on the field no matter what, even when they have one linebacker. That's Zach. That was Zach last year. But those are the two guys that are going to play linebacker this year. And I think the easiest way to mix in Campbell would be as a situational third down player, more of a pass rusher. That's what I think it's going to look like early. And then next year, I think it turns into Bond and Campbell together.
Should be good, man. It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out at that position. Johnny Mac, one of the things I'm most excited to, it's like not concern, but it's more excitement about how does Vic use it? What's he going to do? And just the different talent that they have there. It is good, man. A lot of talent in that linebacker room, John. Remember last year, man. Everybody said that we were the worst linebacker core in football. So everybody was wrong, including the fan base. Well,
Oh, yeah.
now it's not that way.
Yeah. Well, I mean, bring up that Devin White sore spot to everybody. Oh, boy, there was a lot of Devin White hype. I was talking about that with it. Remember the text chain that Devin White, Jalen Hurts, AJ Brown, whoever, all the stars. Oh, the text chain. I'm like, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's come a long way. Nobody knew. Again, even Zach Bond didn't know. Even Vic didn't know. He said, I thought, and Vic, as I said, deserves credit for seeing what others didn't see, that this guy has instincts to play off-ball linebacker. And he showed it every single week, starting week 1 all the way through the Super Bowl. The interception in the Super Bowl was crazy.
Yeah, it was.
Instincts.
That interception was nuts.
You can't teach that.
That was a crazy pick, man. He dove to the left and got that thing on Mahomes' whipped pass. That was nuts. That was probably more impressive than Cooper's interception.
Oh, yeah. Well, Cooper's, I think, more impressive was the return.
Yeah, right. And Cooper kind of had the splash play, so it got more credit, and the game was closer at that point. Oh, yeah. But that point,
Cooper's
nuts, man.
Cooper's a great return artist. But they don't want him returning punts for obvious
Cooper's a great
reasons.
athlete, man. I don't know what is there anything Cooper doesn't do well on the football field?
Nope. Doesn't do it. Does everything well everywhere. He's a great basketball player, great softball player, great. He's got a lot of Jake Elliott to him, no matter what he does, except kick field goals last year for Jake. I'm just kidding, Jake. But Jake's great at everything. He's got tremendous hand eye. He's a great golfer. He's the best golfer on the team. He's the best ping pong player. He's great at everything. Cooper's got some of that.
He does. Good stuff there with Cooper DeJean. Good stuff there, and all the breakdown here as we get ready for training camp coming up. For those who are just checking in, we did have a great opening segment. Obviously, we sent our condolences to Brian Braymond, who passed away. I don't know if he passed away today or yesterday, but the news came out this morning. So rest in peace to him. Rest in peace. And we're praying for his family, obviously. Rest in peace to Brian, but 2 daughters. So very sad story there with Brian Braymond. Johnny Mac gave some good thoughts about Brian Braymond at the start of the show. If you missed it, we talked a little bit about the ESPYs. Shane Gillis was stirring the pot last night. I'm curious to see if there's any fallout from that. I don't know if they were ready for those jokes coming from Shane. I don't know. Maybe they were, but I felt like it was a stuffy crowd.
They should have been.
Even Shane was like, what did he say in one of the jokes? He was like, lighten up, everybody, or something.
Well, yeah, he always does that because when his stuff doesn't hit, he'll say some untoward
It gets awkward.
stuff.
Yeah, it gets awkward.
But that's part of his thing. He wants it to get awkward. So that's sort of part of his style. But yeah, they knew it. They knew. It's not like they knew what he was getting. Shane got hired for Saturday Night Live. A lot of people don't know. And I think he got fired inside a week because of something he said.
Yeah. Well, you never know, man. The big networks like to tame people, John. That's a thing.
Yeah. Well, that's what he got hired for. Basically, the dream job of every comedian until they get there, at least. And then he was fired before he ever got on the show. So
yeah. Are you a big comedian guy? It sounds like you're a big comedian guy.
Oh yeah, big comedian guy.
Are you?
Yeah. Yeah, Shane's very good. Big J Okerson is another Philadelphia-based comedian that's on that show I told you about. Little cameo. He's a Philly guy. So it's always cool when you see local people have success. But yeah, love comedians.
That's good. Good stuff. Let's get to our next commercial break. Appreciate everybody being here. For all the people in the chat, we're ready, man. Season's inside a week, so it's now go time. Here we got a super chat. Let's get to X-Buddy XVSG. Holy moly. These usernames are confusing me. What's going on, man? He says, $10 super chat. We appreciate that very much. He says, why do people keep saying Hurts' disrespect comes from not throwing the ball and realize the disrespect comes from him not throwing the ball to receivers wide open standing in front of
him? That's disrespectful. X-Buddy XBSG, but thanks for the $10. Yeah, I don't think I've been pretty. I don't think Jalen Hurts is disrespected, so it's tough for me to answer these questions. I don't. So, I mean, like, how do you argue? I always say it, like, don't talk about other people's premises. Like, if I thought he was disrespected, I tell you, and I tell you why I thought that. I don't think he is. So it's tough for me to answer the disrespect questions, other than there's a lot of people that sort of do things for engagement. But I'm talking about in the league. I don't think he's disrespected. Does that mean freaking joesfootball.com isn't going to disrespect him today? That might happen. But I don't give a shit about joesfootball.com. So I would say, no offense to Joe, which probably exists somewhere. I don't know. But like individual people, it's all right. You do you. I can't get really that upset about individual people's opinions. Some people are that I know, if they know the game and understand the game and talk to people in the game, and I have more respect for than others. And they have a better place to speak about things. But unfortunately, the nature of this business is it rewards, what do you want to call them, hot take artists or whatever. And it might seem like I pick on Dan Orlovsky, but I don't, because I have a lot of respect for Dan. Like, Dan really obviously played in the league, knows the quarterback position, played quarterback, understands it better than I'll ever understand it. But I do think that there's part of that. He's got to say stuff that draws viewers and draws, eyeballs. And, that's where you get 1 week, he's the worst quarterback ever. And the next week, he's Tom Brady. That to me,
I don't even know if that stuff works anymore. I mean, FS1 firing all their shows for doing that.
That's why that you lose credibility. Like, I'm very consistent from week to week. I'll say what he does well, what he doesn't do well, and it's very consistent. In his worst games, I still say he's a very good player. And after his best games, I still say, hey, pump the brakes a little bit. He's not Joe Burrow. Sorry. That is the least controversial thing I've ever said in my life, but people get upset by it. And I can't control that. Control what you can control, Zander. The greatest football cliche of all time. Because while it is a cliche and people roll their eyes, nothing is truer in life. All you can do is control what you can control. You can't control other people.
It's true about more than just football, without a doubt. Johnny Mac, great stuff there. Let's get to our next commercial break. We got about 20 minutes left to go here on the show, so we'll close it out with some good conversation as we get ready for training camp. Appreciate everybody for being here today. X-Buddy, thanks for the super chat. Thanks, everybody, for being in here. Hit that like button. We'll be right back in 3 minutes on Birds 365.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Shot Takers and the Tastemakers. Welcome to the Viewfinders, the Thrill Seekers, and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
The following is a real testimonial from the father of a young injured victim.
I didn't think she was going to make it.
Major Perry's daughter was the victim of a horrific accident caused by someone else's negligence.
If you don't find the right counselor, law firm that you're looking for, you will get lost in the wilderness.
Badly injured? Call the Fritz and Bianculli Law Firm at 215-458-2222 and find out why they say, "We got this."
In our hometown, we all look out for each other. We go the extra mile to lend a helping hand. We step up to keep our communities going strong. And at Independence Blue Cross, we're here to keep you going strong. We've been deeply rooted in our communities for more than 85 years. And that connection to members has earned us our spot as the #1 health insurer in the region. So while you look out for your neighbors, know IBX is always looking out for you.
Your financial future is on the line. Are you ready for what's next? At Leone and Company Wealth Management, we help young professionals, business owners, and pre-retirees navigate the complexities of building and protecting wealth. For young professionals, we'll help you grow your wealth, plan for your future, and make the most of your hard-earned dollars. For business owners, we provide strategies to protect your company, manage risks, and create a lasting legacy for both your business and personal wealth. For pre-retirees, we'll design a plan to secure your retirement, ensuring you can live comfortably and confidently in your next chapter. Whether you're just starting out, managing a thriving business, or preparing for retirement, we're here to help you take control of your financial future. The first consultation is on us. Get the advice you need without the cost. Let's make your financial vision a reality. Take the next step. Scan the QR code to schedule your free consultation today. And of course, go Birds.
Welcome to the Jet Setters and the High Rollers, to the Thrill Seekers and the Night Owls. Welcome to everything you could possibly want on one 5-mile island. Welcome to the Wildwoods. Book your stay today.
EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome back in, everybody, to a Thursday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. J Mac, less than a week out from training camp, man, and plenty of stuff that we've talked about all off season long. And now it's time for the rubber to meet the road and get this thing started, John. One position we didn't talk about yet today is the safety position. We talked about corner. We talked about some of the offensive positions. We didn't talk about right guard, but we also didn't talk about safety. And I want to go there, but I want to talk specifically about Makuba. How big of an ask is it to ask Makuba to be the starting safety this year and have for a team that has Super Bowl expectations?
Well, it's big just in general, but it's even bigger if he's not in on time. Now, there was a break in the dam, so to speak, in the second round yesterday. Alfred Collins, I believe, signed. It's like 43rd. So he signed, and he didn't get a fully guaranteed deal. So 33 and 34 did. So we know 43. The fully guaranteed money is going to dry up between 35 and 42, somewhere in that range. So we know that now. And then his percentage, I think I saw, was 88% of his contract was fully guaranteed, which was a pretty high spike from what it was the year prior. And that's good news for the Eagles in Makuba at 64, because things are going to happen pretty quickly, I think, now with the second rounders, with the dam breaking a little bit. Still a bunch of guys, still some stuff. Obviously, he's not getting all guaranteed money at 64. You know, as I just tried to explain, 43 is not getting all guaranteed money. So obviously, it's not going to last to 64. Ultimately, if I was a betting man, I'd say he'd be on the field Wednesday morning next week. But if he wants to be a day one starter, he has to be on the field. Vic has shown what he thinks of practice, and he's not throwing them out there. And then he's going to have to earn it while he's at practice. But the first step is he's got to be at practice, and I mean day one. Now, long term, I don't think it's a big deal if he's out. If he doesn't sign for some reason and he's out for a week or 10 days, I think it sets him back. He's probably not going to be the week one starter, but ultimately, I don't think it matters that much long term. But if you're hyper focused on week one, he's got to be in. And ultimately, then it comes down to who plays better, Drew or Sidney or Tristan. And don't sleep on Tristan McCullum, because I think of the three, that's the guy Vic is going to trust the most to be in the right positions. So if the other guys start to struggle a little bit and start to show they can't handle it, don't sleep on him.
I'm not sleeping on him. I wonder if Vic would default to him, or do you think they would end up defaulting to outside the organization with a guy like Simmons?
I just don't think the Eagles are signing older players.
I don't either. But the name keeps coming up. I don't know.
Well, until he signs, it's going to keep coming up. I mean, until Von Miller would come up, maybe not as much, but now he signed. Until he actually signs somewhere, people are gonna keep bringing it up. And who knows? Maybe Vic is at the NovaCare complex today, lobbying Howie Roseman to sign him. Maybe he doesn't trust. That's a possibility. I'm not saying it isn't. Maybe he's saying, these guys, I saw these guys in the spring, Howie. They're not ready. That to me is the only way that Justin Simmons is here. He has already made the decision but he was talking in the spring, and again, Vic rarely lies. When he got asked the question about the competition, he was like, that's a good question after 2 preseason games and a bunch of practices. He seems focused on that competition. He seems to want to see that, or he's at least on board with that competition. So I don't think you're going to see Justin Simmons.
I don't either. I do think Tristan McCollum's kind of a sleeper name, John, that Vic does like. It's going to be interesting to see if how they use him and what kind of safeguard he is for 2 really unproven players that are vying right now for the top spot.
Yeah,
with more game experience than the other 2 put together.
Well, no, I think Sidney got some decent experience as a rookie. Now, different situation. He was playing a lot of slot. He was playing all over. It was a disaster, but he played more as a rookie than Tristan played last year. So, but again, that's not with Vic, as Vic pointed out. But yeah, I mean, one has never played. One has played a little bit in the slot with a different coordinator, and Tristan with Vic is the one that has the most experience. So that probably holds more weight.
Safety position, is that outside of edge? Is that your most concerning? Because I know you have confidence in Ringo.
Yeah, outside of edge. Edge is my most concerning. For 2 reasons. One, like they have more experience. Granted, not here, but Uche's played, Ojulari's played. They have more experience than they do at safety, opposite Reed, as you just pointed out, guys who barely played. But because of that position's importance, you got to rush the passer in the NFL. And again, if I look at every position, and there aren't many of them, where it could be a disaster. And again, I'm not related to injury, because that could derail anything in the NFL. Just performance, that could be a disaster. There's only one, I think. Because I think Tristan McCullum is the safeguard, and he'll line up correctly. And that's all I'm saying, that there's not going to be a disaster. I'm not saying it's going to be good, but it's not going to be a disaster. If Nolan Smith doesn't turn into a star player, the edge situation could be a disaster.
Really could. I think Nolan has a chance. I'm worried more about the injuries with Nolan than I am about the play on the field. I think he's a great football player. I don't know. I hope he holds up for a full season with a huge workload.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'm a little bit worried about the workload as well. It's again, look at he got hurt in the Super Bowl.
Are you worried about the talent with Nolan, or have you seen enough?
Not at all. A little bit worried about the size and the ability to hold up.
Right.
But no, I think his floor is a good player, but he's got to be a great player in this current setup. He's the guy. He's got to be the headliner. He's got to be the centerpiece of the pass rush. I'm not saying he's got to be Von Miller to use Von Miller in his prime, because that's rare, but he's got to be a big time pass rusher, so everybody else can play off that.
Yeah, we'll see. Johnny Mac, last question on Makuba. The contract's not done, and I'm not here to sit here and make everybody nervous about it. I don't think there's any concern. But, like, when does it end? I know you talked about yesterday the agent has to do his job, because if the guy before him gets more guaranteed money, obviously you want to up his guaranteed money. I'm all for the player getting as much guaranteed money as possible. I want that for him. But at what point do you got to just, like, get the deal done? Like, are you going to go into training camp with no deal done? Is that possible, or is this thing getting knotted up before Tuesday?
Yeah, I expect it to be done. I expect him to be on the field Wednesday morning. But I wouldn't say that 100%. Just from I think that Collins signing broke the dam. I think you'll see a bunch of stuff happen pretty quickly around the league, and I think ultimately the Eagles' history says they'll get it done. But I could also see him taking a little bit more time out of circumstance, nothing else, just because of how things have moved so slowly. And that's because he's 64th. He's last. This is a slotting system. It doesn't go in order, but you see 34 signed first. So Jaden Higgins, then 33 got fully guaranteed. And then it stopped as guys are now. We now know that it's not going to go all the way down to 43, but in between there, those agents are fighting to get that guarantee, that full guarantee, as far down the board as possible. And then, again, 43 is now set at 88%. 44 is probably going to want 87% or 86%, et cetera, down the line. And then you got Drew sitting there at 64. So a lot of it is just timing and how quickly things happen elsewhere. But I do expect the Eagles to have them. And just from a pure, again, week one standpoint, which in the large scale of things really doesn't matter. But I know people are going to be hyper-focused. But I go back to Cooper. Cooper was fine. Different reasons. Missed 20 days. Didn't play at the beginning of the season. Pretty damn good rookie season, I would say. So long term, I don't think it matters at all. Short term, if you're hyper-focused on week one, there's a slight chance that it will impact his ability to be on the field week one.
We'll see how it all plays out. I think there's still plenty of questions for this team, John, but overall, I think it's kind of slim pickings. I don't really think there's that many big concerns on this team coming into this year for a team that did lose some players, for a team that's coming off a Super Bowl. I think they're in a good shape, John, before training camp.
Yeah, well, I mean, they're if they're not the most talented team in football, they're certainly in the top 3 or 4. So when you're in that group, you got a chance. So does that mean everything's perfect? No. There's a bunch of potential issues, and you'll see that as training camp moves on and the games start. So it's not perfect, but when you're in that top 5, that's where you want to be. And the Eagles are still in that top 5, unquestionably.
No doubt about it. Johnny Mac, good stuff, man. We got about 5 minutes left to play here on Birds 365. John, are you willing to make a bold prediction for the Eagles season this year? I know you don't do predictions. I know you don't want to do them. I made BLG do one. Can you give me a bold prediction? If you want, me and Celia did 10 each, which, 10.
10 each.
I can read you some of mine. I think mine are pretty good. You'll probably call me a loony, but I'll read them if you want them for context.
Well, if you want to read them, feel free.
Well, I want to see what you have first. I don't want to cloud your thoughts.
Bold, but I'm not. Well, I'm not.
Come on, you can give me one bold prediction on this team.
I don't even think it's bold, but all right. Here's one: the Eagles will not win the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts will be a better quarterback.
Wow, that's bold. I think that's bold. Bold enough for what I'm asking.
Yeah.
So no Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts improves. So you do think that Jalen has more room to grow? Some people, have insinuated he's at a ceiling. You don't think that, right?
No, I think he went down last year, which I've said pretty consistently over a whole season. He did not. That was not his best season. I think he's going to have a bounce back as an individual player. But again, proving what I always say: football isn't about one guy, even the quarterback. So they could not win the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts can be better. And that's exactly what I think is going to happen.
Number 10 on my list of bold predictions. Can you guess what it was?
No. Number 10? How could I possibly guess that?
Well, it goes hand in hand with what yours was.
Oh, no. That they are going to win the Super Bowl.
There you go. The Philadelphia Eagles will repeat as Super Bowl champions, Johnny Mac. That's my bold prediction.
Well, they won't repeat. I'll be a stickler. They will defend their Super Bowl championship.
Yeah, but it's still technically a repeat.
Well, the organization repeats, yes.
Yeah,
the
organizational repeats, obviously a new team.
Yeah. And as I said, Nick has placed a soft ban on that term inside the NovaCare complex.
That's good.
Now to me, I can say repeat, but I don't believe in repeat because, again, Milton Williams isn't there. Darius Slay isn't there. A bunch of guys are going to be on the ring.
As you pointed out, the team would still be repeat. I mean, when you look at the history books,
the organization, the title name of the organization would be repeating. Unfortunately, back in the day, again, that's why I don't like comparing 70s teams, those 70s dynasty teams with the teams today, because that was pre-free agency. And you get a core group of guys together for a decade, and they never went anywhere. They never could go anywhere. The only way they were going anywhere is that they retired. There was no movement. So it was easier to create these super teams back then. Now there's constant turnover, 30% basically for each team. And the group that wins in your scenario that wins next February is not the same group that's won this past February. So that's my editor stickler of the process. But they're a very good team. And yes, Nick has placed a salt ban. Blame Nick. He's banned the term.
No, I think it makes sense as the coach of the team for the now. But in the history books, it will be if the Eagles win again, they will be the repeat champions. They would. That's just how it will be.
Yeah.
Whether Nick likes the term or not.
Again, if you were writing and I was your editor, I'd be the asshole that said, "Don't put repeat."
Well, what would you put?
I would
Eagles defend their title. That's it. That's all you can say.
No, they're not even defending. I would put second consecutive Super Bowl championship. That's what I would put. They're not defending because They're the reigning champions. That's a proper term. A bunch of the guys are defending. A bunch of the individual guys are part of that defending process. But the group as a whole will be, the organization as a whole will win their second consecutive Super Bowl if they win it. That's how I would advise young writers, not that they care. That's how I advise them to do it. Now, Kevin Manahan just retired, NJ.com. He was one of those guys. I don't even know him, but I had old school editors, which I said, first round pick. I say it all the time. Former first round pick. I cringe. When people, because it's been beat into me. I cringe when people say, he's a former first round pick. No, he's not. He'll always be a first round pick. He was a first round pick. He was a 2018 first round pick or a 2019 first round pick or always a first round. Never going to be a former first round pick. Never. Stickler. I don't know. Some things I get stickly about.
I still feel like, I get it, but I still like for former first round pick. I really understand. They would still be repeat franchise champions. They would. If you do things one and then you do it again consecutively, your franchise repeated as champions.
Well, I get it. I mean, Pat Riley did 3, but because everybody thinks that doesn't make it correct.
No, but I actually think it's correct. I'm not saying I think it's because people think it. If your team,
again, I agree with you 100%. People think it. It doesn't make it correct.
I think it's correct, is what I'm saying.
It's like there's conversation. There's a back and forth among like RBIs, runs batted in. A lot of people in baseball don't even use that term. The term is runs batted in. So if you lower that to RBIS, which a lot of people do, you're saying runs batted ins. It's RBI. You don't need the S because that's what it's short for. Runs batted in. Attorney General. So like the Attorney General of the United States or the Attorney General of Pennsylvania or New Jersey. The plural of that is attorneys general. Drives me crazy. The little thing that drives me crazy. Now, most people would say the attorney generals. Everybody thinks that, but it doesn't make it right. And my goal is to get it right. That's all.
I know. I still don't feel like saying they're not repeat champions. It's right. You've convinced me on the other ones. You haven't convinced me on the repeat. I'm sorry, J-Mac.
Is Josh Sweat? Is he going to play?
The team. Okay, the team, but the franchise. It's a repeat championship for the franchise for the Philadelphia Eagles.
But the guys who won the Super Bowl 59 are not going to be there. All of them are not going to be there for Super Bowl 60.
Yeah, but the franchise repeated as champions. The team, you can make an argument. The team is not the same. The franchise won.
The franchise won 2 consecutive. Kansas City won 2 consecutive Super Bowls. That's the proper way to do it.
Splitting hairs here on a Thursday edition of.
Well, it's not splitting hairs because
it's a repeat.
One is right and one is wrong. Because everybody thinks it doesn't make it correct. That's why I brought up the attorneys general aspect. Most people think the opposite because that's just the way it is. Most people talk in a conversational tone, so they have no problem.
About my opinion, though, I think it's legitimately
right. RBIs. No, it's not an opinion. That's what I'm saying. It's not.
I agree. I'm saying objectively, the franchise would be a repeat champion. I'm not saying my opinion.
And that's what I'm trying to say. I know that's your opinion, but it's not correct from a journalism standpoint. That's all I'm trying to say.
Okay, that's fine.
That's all. That's not an opinion. That's not an opinion because of the way it's set up and the turnover and all that. The proper way to say it. That's all I'm saying. If you're writing, and what I would tell you and what I would teach young people is do not say repeat. Say second consecutive championship. Now, I'm 100%. I agree with you. 99% of the people don't care. Actually, 100%. 99% of the people would say it your way, but that doesn't make it right. Again, and that's why I use RBIs or a term. All right, 99% of the people think that, hey, that makes sense. No, it doesn't make sense if you really think about it. That's all.
All right. J-Mac, good stuff today, brother. Appreciate it. We got one more show, and then we're into the season. Next week, it's training camp, man. It starts. 2025 season kicks off next week in my eyes. Johnny Mac, great show today. Your final thoughts on this Thursday edition of Birds 365.
Well, that was my hot take. The Eagles will not win a second consecutive Super Bowl championship, but the disrespected quarterback will have a better season. There's my hot take of the day.
I'm calling bullshit on that bold prediction, but I'll take it. Johnny Mac, good stuff.
Which part of it? Super Bowl or Jalen? Jalen's going to get worse.
Super Bowl. Super Bowl.
All right.
You'll be delighted to know one of my other bold predictions was Jalen Hurts will finish top 3 in the MVP voting. So I obviously agree with that side of it.
Well, you're just being a homer. What? No,
I'm being bold. I made
he's already done it before. He was second, so
that's why I don't think
it wouldn't shock me at all if he finished third.
So that's why it's not the topic was bold predictions. I was not going to make a bunch of middling predictions. I made bold predictions. I think that's
I don't even think that's bold. If you think they're going to win the Super Bowl,
the quarterback.
Well,
last year they won the Super Bowl and he wasn't even close.
Well, because he didn't have his best season.
Yeah,
and it wasn't even close.
But someone could say he won't have his best season again and they'll win.
That's possible. They've already done that.
Yeah,
so it's possible. But I just say that people should maybe click that two together, that the Eagles were the best team in football and they won the Super Bowl, and Jalen Hurts wasn't in the top 5 in MVP voting. Whereas in 2022, when they made the Super Bowl, he was number 2 in the voting, and that's where he should have been. And that's because he had a better 22 regular season than 24 regular season. That shouldn't be controversial.
Yep. Good, Johnny Mac. Good stuff, brother. I'll catch you tomorrow on a Football Friday edition of Birds 365. Thank you, brother.
All right. Thanks, all.
All right. Thanks, J Mac. There's Johnny Mac joining us here on Birds 365. A great show today here on Birds 365. We've had a great off season of shows, really. And we wrapped it up good today. I still think I'm right. I don't think John's right about the repeat. Sorry. I think he's right about all the other ones. I don't think he's right about the repeat. If a franchise wins it 2 years in a row in the history books, they would technically be repeat champions. Not my opinion. That's objective fact. Profit Watcher, I see your comment, and that's bullshit. John normally has a persuasive argument. He didn't persuade me on that. Okay, he didn't persuade me on that. Where's Profit? Zander, as a prep alum, I'm disappointed. Well, I'll probably disappoint you a lot more times then. All right, I'll probably disappoint you a lot more times. But good show today. What's going on, everybody in the chat? I did not expect to be splitting hairs on that at the end of the show, but it was still funny. E. Preston, thank you, dude. Dank, what's up, Dank? Kimberly, what's up, Kimberly? Real Rich is in here. What up, Rich? Good to see you, brother. Devin, what's going on, Dev? Hope you're doing good. A-Team, what's up, A-Team? You agree with me? That's because I'm right, A-Team. Thank you very much. Flying Mayan Secundo, what's up? J-Mac just being a Karen Z. Yeah, I'm used to it, JD3. Robert says, sniff the success. Don't drink it. It's poison. My God, that's wisdom. That's funny. That's Nick Sirianni, Robert. You subscribing to the Sirianni philosophy. Profit, I think you even know I'm correct. You just wanted to side with McMullen. Kevin says, Zander, John, like me, doesn't have too many hairs to split. Kevin, I'm a little bit behind you, but it's coming. All right, look. It's coming, boys and girls. Actually, my hair's looking a little full right now. Holy moly, where's Brian Pumper? Holy moly. You see this? You see these luscious locks, Kevin Savard? You see those locks, Kevin? That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Eagles fan says it's a repeat year. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. All right. Yes, it is. Bird gang girl. Yes, it is. You got Nick Saban hair. I'll take that. Nick Saban's a freaking 7-time champion, greatest college football coach of all time. I will take it. Kevin says, enjoy it, Z. You'll miss him. Yeah, I really don't think I'm going to miss my hair. In fact, I think it's going to be the greatest thing ever where you wake up in the morning and you're going to brush your teeth and there's just nothing going on up there. You're good. You wipe your eyes, you toss some water on your face and you're ready to rock. I mean, is that not a nice thing? Is that not a nice thing? Prophet says, you're still my guy. Prophet, what year did you graduate the prep? You weren't there when I was there, were you? Or close to me? Hair don't make the man, Big Mike says. Chip Season says, lose the hair, grab another vet. Yo, don't tempt me. All right. I'm telling you, yo, you guys are playing with me. My auto channel is crushing it right now. All right. My first video got 15,000 views and 2,000 watch hours. Now, for anybody that knows the YouTube game, you need to have 1,000 subscribers, which I already have, and you need to have 4,000 watch hours to be monetized. So I'm close to monetizing that channel already. Come on, man. That vet is a 100% tax write-off, baby. A 100% tax write-off. So you can cry about my vet all you want. All right? I'm out here using the system to my advantage and driving a vet while I'm doing it. Cry about that one. How's that for some prep knowledge, Prophet Watcher? How's that for some St. Joe's prep profit? No, that's not why, A-Team. A-Team. No. No. I'm talking about ZK's Garage. I'm talking about ZK's Garage. Daz, we're about to find out. Daz, see, the interesting thing is YouTube monetization is actually interesting. Like, people will look at my channel on JAKIB, not my ZK's Garage, and say, somebody that has 100,000 subscribers probably makes more money. That's actually not that true. JAKIB is a very monetarily powerful channel because of how much content is there. And our CPM is really high. Our average watch time on our channel is like 24 minutes. That's with videos and long form. Our long form average watch time is over 45 minutes. So that means you have a very high CPM, which means you have a very high RPM, which means you make a lot of, which means the revenue on the channel is pretty good. All right. So the JAKIB channel is a well-oiled machine. I just got to get back to the season. Once we get back to the season, we'll be cooking. We'll be cooking good. Pretty slick, Zay. Starting a channel to write off a new car. Well, Slagger, I also have I am monetized media on so I don't think you could do that if you were like a, I don't know. My whole life is self-employed and I have a media entity. So you could even write off if I didn't monetize the channel as a loss, but you're still making content. I called my accountant, right? And I'm like, hey, I bought a vet. It's not 6,000 pounds. So for any business owners out there, you buy a 6,000 pound car, you get 100% write-off versus a 50% write-off. So that's why you see business owners driving around in Escalades, big pickup trucks, and all those different things. So if you get a 6,000 pound car, you up the percentage you can write off. Well, my Corvette's not 6,000 pounds. Okay. So I call my accountant. I'm like, I got to write this thing off. And he's like, all right, well, you're media. Start making videos with it. All right. And I'm like, oh, all right, I will do that. So I wanted to do it anyway, but YouTube's $10.99, but it pays my business. So it's not really to me, Daz. It's all through my business. And then obviously my business comes with payroll, Johnny Mac, Jacilio, software costs, all the electronics that we all use, the microphones, the software that we use, everything deducts from that. And then now my other channel, which would also be a $10.99, but which would kick back into a separate LLC. I have like a parent LLC for them all. Your next car should be a souped up Pinto. That's not my style, CZ. That's not my style. But I will say this. If ZK's Garage starts making some money, I will become a car buying machine. Just sub to ZK's Garage. Next video is dropping today. 5 things I love, 5 things I hate about my C8 Corvette. Coming out today on ZK's Garage. Check it out, baby. Check it out, baby. iMac gets paid. JMac makes, I think JMac makes pretty good money. I don't know. I pay him. JMac and Sills, both in my eyes, make pretty good money. CZ, no Pintos for me, my guy. No Pintos for me. Well, Kevin, it's actually not stupid because it's like you can either spend it on a car or spend it on the government. So I hear you. But that's the reason I used to have a pickup truck. I used to drive a pickup truck. The other thing that's smart is, you'll see like don't be surprised if I buy cars a lot because you only can get the write-off 1 year. Now you can write off the depreciation and the miles and the gas and all that crap. But you buy a car every year, you get a new write-off each year. So it's like, there's advantages. Now, I'm not saying just go buy cars for the sake of buying cars, but I was done with my truck, and I'm like, let me get this thing out of here. Use it or lose it. I traded it, Des. I traded it. I was going to sell it. I had it listed, and then I got the dealer to give me literally crazy good value. And with the tax savings I got in the vet, and buying it in the LLC, it didn't really make that much of a difference for me. So I saved about $3,000 in taxes by trading it, and I got about $3,000 less than I was trying to get on the market. So it was a push. It was a push thing for me. The 6,000 pound limit. Yeah. That's why I was going to buy an Escalade. I was like really close to buying an Escalade, used Escalade. 6,000 pounds, full write-off, money car. I love the Escalades. Badass. No, that's not for vehicles flying mine. That's for, you're talking about depreciation. You're talking about interest and depreciation, I think. You're not talking about, you can write off a full vehicle, especially if it's for business, which when you're making videos could be 100% for business. Yeah, Big Mike. So my girlfriend comes from a very successful family. Her grandfather was listen to this. This is actually pretty sick. Her grandfather went to Penn, University of Penn. They had 5 sons, her grandfather. Her dad is one of the sons. 5 sons. All 5 sons 4 went to University of Penn and 1 went to Princeton. And they're all largely successful with families and children now. Pretty cool. But one of them, Big Mike, one of them who is a savage entrepreneur. And they're not all entrepreneurs, but one of them he's a beast entrepreneur, bro. This guy's making money. He sold one of his businesses this year. He had like 5 businesses. He sold one of them for like $250 million. Like this guy's a savage, but he has a big ass boat in Ocean City. Like, I mean, big, like probably 42 feet, maybe 42, 45, somewhere in that range. And, So he has a big ass boat. I talked to him about it. That's exactly what he did. He wrote it off. Yo, Twiz, what is this? I'm deleting that crappy comment. That's not ZK's Garage. Let me show you guys ZK's Garage. You freaking nerds. Where's my boy Kenzo? Is Kenzo in here today? Yo, Kenzo, where you at? All right, let me show you this. My next video is ready to drop, and I got more coming. Wait, so did I tell you guys what happened this weekend? Did I tell you guys what happened this weekend? Let me tell you guys what happened this weekend. I think I told everybody. ZK from ZK's. There you go. There's my ZK's Garage video. This is my channel. Subscribe to the channel, everybody. I need the subscribers. I need the watch time. You know what the vibes are. So my brother, he also bought a C8. He had an M3. Daz, I told you he had the M3 on order. He canceled it for the Blackwing. All right. And then I got the C8 on July 4th. And he comes home and he's like, I've always wanted the mid-engine. I'm canceling the Blackwing. And he goes and picks up a C8. So let me show you guys. All right. What we're working with. We are very funny, though. It's pretty cool that two brothers got some C8s. I'm going to pull up a video on the channel. All right, here. Let me pull this up. You guys will like this. Yeah, he canceled the M and he canceled the Blackwing. Canceled the M and the Blackwing. He got a C8. You're about to see it, Des, right here. I got the white. He got the black. The black is pretty sick. I can't lie. The black is pretty sick. All right, there's one. All right, who's ready to see these? This is my brothers and me. Check it out. Check it out. There it is. So that's his on the right. Mine's the white one on the left. Mine's the white one on the left. Here, you want to see a video of them? Daz, you're a black car guy. I kind of like the black better, honestly. But I'm happy with what I got. Comparison is the thief of joy. I'm going to show you guys this video once it loads on my computer. These damn airdrops like stopped working on my computer. I don't know why. Let me see this. I don't know why these airdrops stopped working. I might have it already in here. I want to show you this, though. You'll like this video. You will like this video. Yeah, so Daz, I took a bunch of content this weekend with my brother. So I'm working on the videos now, but I took a bunch of content with my brother on the C8. It's gonna be sick. Desktop. Let me get the ZK Garage. No, I don't want that video. Nope, not that video. Damn. I got too many videos. This is my issue. Here we go. All right, guys, here's a look at the... Oh, gosh, this is fire. Here we go. You ready? I got it. Yo, I was thinking of wrapping it for the Eagles season. Should I do it? I was thinking of wrapping it for the season. Check it out, guys. Can you hear it? Nah, you probably can't hear it. That's all right. The black and the white. What do you like the better? Are you a black car guy? I don't know if you can hear it, but... Fine. Man, they look good. I don't know why this guy blurred out. One of the editors I used blurred out my license plate. I'm like, I don't care about my license plate. Oh, there's my beautiful girl. B. Preston, I don't know why you're not making car content. Wow. Oh! Guys, how's it feel to be a C8 owner? I love my brother, dude. My brother is the funniest guy on the planet. He really is. He is a funny, incredible American mid-engine, incredible. I love it. I love it. So that's the update. Yo, everybody's got to go and subscribe to the channel, though, if you're still watching me. Okay? If you're still watching me right now, you better be subscribed. I don't, Keith, you want to come over to my house? Come on over. Come on over, Keith. You want to put my license plate on the internet and come over to my crib? Come on over, Keith. Come on over. Come on, man. Oh, you can. All right. You could hear the audio? I didn't think you could hear the audio. Do a video with the vet driving around the city. I will. I'm going to get a bunch. The videos I took last night are fire. I'm down at my girl's place in Ocean City. And where did she put these videos on here? Oh, can I share my iMovie? Probably. Here, check this out. Check this out. Oh, no, that's not what I want. I want this one. This is the video I did last night. I love doing this, by the way. I love being outside and recording as opposed to being in my office, cooped up. Look, this is my iMovie, so just like, you don't have to look at everything. But look, this is my video from last night.
What's up, everybody? ZK from ZK's Garage here, back with another video on the C8.
Content looks good there, doesn't it?
5 things I love and 5 things I don't love so much about my C8 Corvette. I've owned the car now for 2 weeks.
Who wants to hear? Can you hear the video? Can anybody confirm if they can hear the video? Can anybody hear these videos as I'm sharing it right now or no? Can anybody hear these or no? Yeah, more profit. I got a bunch coming. All right, you can hear it? All right, Daz, get ready. Yeah, baby.
All right, everybody. The first thing I love about this car.
I love that. I love this video. This video is fire. There's the engine bay. Here's me inside the cabin. Inside the cabin. There's the wheel.
Back here was squeaking a lot. Now, the burner.
Cool video, though. I'm excited to do it. It's a different style of content. So, like, I'm having fun with it because I'm so used to doing everything behind my studio. Yeah, which is great. I still love it. But it's different. I like being outside. I like being behind the camera. I like holding the mic. It's just different style of content. I'm enjoying it a lot, man. I'm enjoying it. I like it. Xander, you need 2 holes in the front soon. So great tech. Corvette actually built in a plate bracket, but I will take a ticket every time. I'll never put a front bracket on my car. I mean, that is crazy talk. Put a freaking front bracket on the car. Are you crazy? All right. Front license plate. Are you nuts? All right, everybody. I'm getting out of here. I appreciate you guys hanging with me and watching my things that are not Eagles. How many of you are in here? Holy shit. Still 250 on YouTube. Still a bunch on Twitter too. But hey, I appreciate it, man. You guys are great supporters. You guys give me a lot of confidence, and I appreciate that very much. So I love what I do. I love the community of people I have. It's easily my favorite thing. We got awesome people in here I can talk to and share this stuff with. It's not that fun life when you do it alone. So, you know, you got cool people. You got good supporters. You got a great family that I have. You got a beautiful woman that I have. And shit, man, I can't ask for much more. So I appreciate each and every one of you, man, for doing it. If you want to see more of that car content and you like it, go and hit that subscribe button on ZK's Garage. If you care only about Eagles, then stick right here on JAKIB Sports. And we appreciate you for being here. All right. Oh, Daz. Oh, I want to go to that. Daz, do you go to that often? I don't even know the process to go. Daz, you know where else I want to go? I want to go to the Corvette Museum in Bowling Green. And then there's this thing in my, so I'm not a drinker. I've told you guys, I really don't drink. I really don't like drinking. The last time I drank was my brother's wedding 2 years ago. And even then I was like 3 years before that. I just don't like drinking. I just don't like drinking at all. I'm sorry. But anyway, so I'm going to get engaged and married soon at some point to my beautiful woman. And I said to my brother for my bachelor party, I don't want to go partying. I don't want to go drinking. I don't want to do any of that bullshit. I want to go to the Corvette. There's a Corvette school out in, I think it's in Vegas or like in Nevada, not in Vegas, but near Vegas in the mountains and everything. And you can go out there and they give you cars. You get a Corvette driver with you. You learn the braking, you learn the steering, you learn everything about the car, how to drive it and all those different things. And I've always wanted to do that because I'm a great driver, but I've never gone to like driving school like that. Like I've never done that where you learn like that type of driving and that type of experience. So I'm blanking on what it's called. It's like Ron Higgins or Huggins or something like that. What's the Corvette school's name? Let me look it up. The Corvette Owner School. Yeah, it's in Spring Mountain. It's a 2-day program. What's it called though? There's a name for it. Oh, Ron Fellows. That's what it is. Ron Fellows. So, yo, Bud, you know what's hilarious? I think he actually has a Buick. But I'm pretty sure John got a Buick a couple years ago. That is so funny. I got to ask him. I think he got a Buick, if I'm not mistaken. What's the Buick SUV? The Enclave? I think that's what Johnny Mac got. Yeah, so the Ron Fellows Performance Driving School. That's what I want to do for my bachelor party. I don't want to drink. The white one was mine, Abid. The white one was mine. That makes perfect sense. Agreed. Agrees. Ron Fellows does not stink. Come on, Ryan. They do one at Pocono Raceway. I might have to go to that too, bud. But all right, everybody. Plenty of fun content coming on both channels. So subscribe. I told you guys I was going to do more types of content. And I love this and say this with respect to what I do now. But what I don't want to be in 20 years and 30 years and 40 years is limited myself to only talk about sports. I think I'm bigger than that. I think I can be bigger than that. I think God's calling me to be bigger than that. So I'm excited about this because it's another step in another direction. I'm still locked and loaded, obviously, on JAKIB. I'm very excited for the busy season of JAKIB to come here and be here and for the season to come and all those different things. But you add in that other element and I'm really starting to feel like a well-oiled content machine. I'm only getting better. I'm still young. I'm 27 years old. So really the goal is I want to hire an editor. You know, I say this every day. My dream is to be on camera all day and then the footage comes back ready to post. So I hate the editing process, but I do love it. I do love what I do. And I love being on camera. I do. I love it. I love filming content. It doesn't kind of makes me fueled up, gassed up, if you will. So I'm enjoying it. Abid says, yo, before leaving, you saw the CJ interview. I did. I liked it and I appreciated it. And I actually have a little bit more of an appreciation for a guy like that. I'm somebody that I'm not saying that CJ didn't do some things wrong. And I'm not saying he's done everything correct. I'm not saying that. But I can understand somebody that is different than the rest. I've always been a different dude. Like in grade school, I was different. I was the guy that got called to the principal's office, not for misbehaving, but because I wasn't like the rest of my classmates. Same thing in high school, same thing in college, same thing my whole life. So I've always been able to relate to somebody that maybe is misunderstood. And while he does have some negatives, and, you know, negatives can be a bad thing. I have them too. I get it. But I thought he explained himself well. I actually understood his line of thinking where, you know, he's a different dude. He's a different type of cat. He's got a different type of mentality, a different type of, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. And I thought the explanation was good. I thought the interview was good. And I appreciated him doing it. I think it helped me gain a little bit more of an appreciation for CJ. I understand he's a headache. I'm not saying he's not, but he's a different dude. And, you know, not everybody's the same in life. I think that's part of what makes life beautiful. So no doubt about it. Hire an editor from overseas. They'll work for $6 an hour. Yeah, it does. I know. Problem is to get them to do it the right way. Xander loves the camera. Dude should be in movies. I don't want to be in movies. I don't like that kind of camera. And then you got, well, Fredo, then you got like every Joe schmuck in the world telling you who you can be, what you can talk about, how you can do certain things. That's not my style. I like freedom. I like the freedom. No, but I'm going to start. Do what you do, bro. Sky's the limit. I appreciate that, Prophet. And St. Joe's Prep for life, man. I love it. Big part of my life. He's a hothead. Well, he is a hothead, but that's all right, man. He felt unwanted, and I can understand that. All right, I can understand that. Like I said, just because it's not what everybody wants doesn't mean that I don't see the good in what CJ brought. I thought CJ did have some valuable things. In fact, you can make an argument, is this team lacking what he had? He was a mean motherfucker. You know? Sometimes being nice isn't the right thing to be. All right? Sometimes being nice isn't the right thing to be. Sometimes you need a mean motherfucker. Sometimes you need the guy that pushes the needle like that. Sometimes you need that person. Now, I'm not saying the Eagles aren't going to be okay without him. I think we're in good position. But I do think, you know, maybe some of that we will miss. All right? Talent is probably replaceable. Is the mentality going to be there? Will what he brought from a mental perspective be replicated? It might not be. It might not be. So we'll see. But all right, everybody, I'm done rambling. I appreciate you watching my videos, my Corvette videos. I appreciate you tuning in here on JAKIB. It's Eagles season, baby, and I'm ready to rock. I appreciate it. I love all you guys. I will see you next time on Birds 365.
You've been listening to Birds 365, the destination for the passionate Eagles football fan who bleeds green. If it's Eagles football, we're talking about it. Debate, inside the locker room, and guests that are some of the greatest football minds from around the region. We hope you enjoyed the show. We know we had a blast. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back soon. But in the meantime, hook up with us on social media at JAKIB Sports. See you next time on Birds 365.